Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this meeting of the Environmental Management Committee meeting. I'll welcome everybody here, and I'll just read the opening here. For this meeting, seek knowledge for understanding, have purpose in all that you do, stand tall, be strong, and let us show respect for each other. Moving on to apologies. Have we any apologies? No apologies. Any declarations of interest? No declarations of interest. Public forum, have we any people? No. So, any late items? Late items. No, item number 6, which is confirmation of the minutes of the 2nd of June meeting. And a recommendation of the committee resolves to confirm those minutes. Anybody want to whether they were true and accurate report? Peter?
Just one on page 7, Mr. Chairman, 10.5. I voted against that motion. Carried, so I'd just like to recall.
5 on page 7.
Page 7, June 2nd meeting. Compliance monitoring sport on the floor. If you recall, I went back and checked the video and it's clear on the video. I'd just like to put in the minutes, please.
Make sure it's in minutes. Can I have a move in a second that amendment be made?
You.
Peter. Seconded that minutes be approved subject to that amendment. All in favour? Aye.
Right.
Thank you. Item 7.1, action list, the full action list is attached. What's that action list? Item number 1 on natural hazards. It's complete. We had email sent to councillor from President Laws detailing monthly and daily views of the portal. The data shows a clear increase in its use since the launch of this portal, the Natural Hazards portal, since its launch and at the beginning of the year. Direct access increased from 44 views in February to 586 in March, 877 in April, 1,173 in May, and 1,373 in June. July was slightly down on 837. August has already 465 views up to the 30th, halfway through August. So for discussion.
It's good to see, Mr. Chair, isn't it?
Isn't it? Mm. And I think the natural hazards is almost as big as mine at the moment, quite important.
Mr. Chairman, I wonder if I can make a comment on this. I think this is a real success story for this council. And I just really want to acknowledge the partnership and the joined up approach, because to deliver this new portal required us to sort out our natural hazard information, which Shanti and her team did, but also partnering with Blair and the IT team to actually do all the IT and deliver the new website and the GIS and everything like that. And I do remember and want to remind and thank the councillors from last Terranium that as part of LTP saw the need to invest in our back office IT systems and get them up to speed. And this is a direct result of that investment. I think these statistics also show that landowners and people on the West Coast want to inform themselves on their land and land that they might be looking to purchase or even own. They want to know what the hazards are, etc., and the conveyancing lawyers, etc. And there's nothing better than putting this data like this in people's hands to make their own decisions rather than anyone else telling them what to do. And I think that's a real success story and a turnaround for this council. And I just want So Shanti's team and Lee's team and everyone else that was involved, well done. And I think the numbers are reflecting the usage and the uptake. It's great.
Thanks, Darryl. On number 2, action. It's complete, but a workshop was held on the 2nd of June outlining the next steps for the flood protection bylaws. Anyone any comments or talk about that? Good, thank you. Next one was the report template for bond release recommendations, and it's been updated. Are we back from respect to this?
Yeah, look, unfortunately, Matt's sick today. But I don't know if any one of the managers can talk to that at all. Otherwise, we might have to hold that over if you've got any questions.
Perhaps.
Thank you, we'll hold that over. You need to move in a second. Not really.
I raised that action. I'm happy that's closed out. The report we've got this meeting has the two that are being released, the amount and the people and the location. So I'm happy for that. It's noted as completely. I'm happy for it to be removed, not carried over.
Thank you.
To be moved, okay. You moving that?
Yeah.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favour?
Aye.
Yes. It's carried. On item action point number 4, we prepared a letter to relevant ministers advocating for the position that all existing mining resource consents held by Stockton are extended for a further 25 years. And the committee requested the letter emphasise the importance to rail infrastructure and economic stability for the West Coast region. And I saw the 8 cent. You have a set on 20th of August. So the discussion.
Oh, I'd just like to thank Darryl and the staff for carrying out that procedure and writing to BT and to the government. It's a really important issue for the whole of the West Coast. Thank you.
Alan? And
Yeah, I do believe that there was something also wrong with its existing consent. Is that not correct? It wasn't actually a proper consent. Is that right? With BT
I'm not
mining.
sure about that. It was a consent under the Coal Mines Act, I think. There was the
Yeah, it wasn't as we know it. So on their extension, they've got to get a consent for Stockton as well as an easement from DOC for the escarpment. So I do believe it's a full consent they're going to get. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I just say that the vast array of permits under all sorts of legislation is very, very complex. As I think, Mr. Chairman, you well know up at Stockton. So look, I can't comment exactly on that specific matter, but it is very complex, and I know that's all being worked through as part of fast track. Can I just say, in contacting the Chief Executive of BT Mining, Richard Tarkon, he did want me to pass on his thanks to this council for that letter that was sent in support of those consents.
You through the chair, the letter was well constructed and well pitched, really good at saying.
moving and seconded. Thanks to the staff for preparing that letter.
I'll move that.
Ashley, all in favour?
Right.
Yes. It's carried.
Mr. Chairman, we'd better thank Helen for bringing it up too.
Yeah. Thank you, Alan.
Yes.
Last item is Darryl was to notify the Chief Executive of BT Mining a resolution supporting a principle that all the existing mining resource consents held by Stockton are extended for 25 years. And number 2, council will write to the minister to express the view the amended resource management act should allow for this extension. That too is possibly behind the previous action.
Yeah. Yeah.
Done that, so that completes the action points. Is Anybody? Oh, Mark, did you have something to say on that?
No.
Okay. Even no further action points. Move that the action point be received. And second it. Thanks, Peter. All in favour? Yes. Right. Now, the next item number 8 is the chair's verbal report. Read it. I started to read the briefing papers over the weekend for this meeting and was almost overwhelmed by the size of the document, represented by almost 300 pages in level. It represented a huge amount of important work and research by our staff. As councillors, we owe it to them to try and absorb as much of that information contained in the documents as we can. This brought me to another quandary. What if I use Copilot to summarise the briefing papers to a more manageable size? Then I remembered our staff member Blair mentioning in a paper about needing to have a policy on AI and the implications and risks of using it. So it was back to the old-fashioned method of reading and highlighting more important and interesting reports. What this leads me to wondering is if we should hold a workshop on AI to discuss its pitfalls and uses and develop a subsequent policy around its use. I note the Bay of Plenty Regional Council has already developed a policy on this. Maybe we could take advantage of their hard work and avoid inventing the wheel twice. Second report received. Thanks, Colin.
Yeah, I'm second it.
Thanks, Mark.
Chair, that includes that action, a proposal to have an AI workshop with that.
That's probably the appropriate way to do it, actually. Yeah.
So that we just.
I'm open to guidance on this.
Mr. Chairman, just by way of update, Blair at the SLT meeting yesterday said he's just a few weeks away from completing a first draft of our AI policy. It does draw on other councils that he's looked at, so he's not reinventing the wheel. There is some benefit from being a fast follower and a leader, and let other people, the bigger councils, do the work. And that's the power of the Te Uru Kahika network and the SIGs, etc., and sharing of that information. That policy will have to come to council. So there is significant issues around privacy and data and confidentiality information. And the moment you use an open source AI tool to go and look at some of that stuff, then it's out in the world and you breach privacy. But that's not to say that our council papers are open source and public, except the ones that aren't. And you're free to use those free versions of AI to summarize those for you. But I think that actually raises a separate issue. What I wonder whether in our report templates, are we doing a good enough job at providing that summary for you at the front of the paper, and maybe we could sharpen up here, because that's effectively would just circumvent that anyway. In terms of council training and other things, we're very open as staff to put you through training on anything, particularly the IT issues. And it doesn't have to be all councillors if some aren't interested, but we can run something for you if that's what you would like. Thanks.
Trouble is, I find once I start down that rabbit hole, I start, oh my God, that's a bit interesting. And then before you know, you're on your page 250 and you're still going. It's like reading a novel, So you can sort of abbreviate it to a certain extent, but I find some of the report, well, most of the reports, fascinating at times.
So just in terms of the action that you're potentially raising, I just wonder, is that something that other councillors want, or is it just the chair, or is there interest? Do we want to record that as an action? Just looking around the table, thanks.
Alan?
Yeah, I'm like you, Chris. I struggled with it, and I did get someone else to help me out reading it as well. We picked up quite a few, but it's pretty tough trying to get through it Yeah, but not to diminish the work the staff have done. They've done a huge lot of work here.
Exactly.
They've done a good job. I'm not criticising.
I
Thank you.
just a matter of getting. Actually, on parts that really fascinate us, could actually. We'll put on that a second. Is that getting too cheeky or asking for too much?
That's a Daryl.
It's your reports that I find the more interesting ones in terms of.
As the
That's,
chair, I can provide you draft reports before I submit them. That's totally fine.
That's
Yeah.
all I need.
Okay, can we take away those couple of things away?
So
One
here we
is-
go again down the rabbit hole.
No, I think they're really good points. Can we take away an action point for the staff to consider the report templates and having a more fulsome summary at the front? As a synopsis, as an addition to the template. And the second issue, but I still haven't heard from other councils. Do you want some form of AI training?
Mark, go ahead.
Sorry about that. It dropped out. I'm not sure about the rest of the councillors, but my biggest problem is being time poor. And like you say, the document, there's nothing wrong with the document. It's brilliant work. It's just about getting through it all. It's just being time poor, really.
So,
We'll just, you probably missed out on the conversation, Mark, but
Sorry, I did.
an action that's come out of this is that the team will look at a more detailed synopsis of the reports, so that if councillors are really time poor, they can get the fundamental important points of a report in a condensed form, but the reports will still remain there.
Yep, appreciate it. Thank you.
Ashley?
the tourism industry spent the entire day on Thursday around the coast talking about AI. That's pieces here. So I think it's a very timely thing for this table as well as for the other councils around the coast if they're not already jumping into that space. So whilst it was a light-hearted joke, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So if we could record that as an action point, yes, through the chair.
I've got two actions. One is to revisit the report template to make sure the summary is fulsome, and then the second part is to arrange an AI briefing, AI use briefing for council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So bearing in mind, we've got it's moving a second for those? No. If we can get a moving a second for those two actions.
We technically only need it for the one, for the overall. I've captured those actions under the resolution, so we do a move and a second just for the overall report.
Okay.
And pick up the resolution and those two actions.
Moving it. And the second, yes, Alan. All in favour? Aye. Any against? Carried. Right. Item number 9 on the report. 9.1. The environmental science quality report on Chadron.
So this report just gives you an update of the operational work undertaken between April 20th and July 20th. So in the summary there, it just highlights the 5 main points of the report, which include the Greymouth air quality monitoring, which recorded 2 exceedances of the national standard. Just for councillors to know that we're still undertaking a technical review of those, making sure that they are, there are no exceptional exceedance, circumstance that would mean that the breach under the National Environment Standard, they might not necessarily qualify. So we're still going through that, and we will report back to you on how and the outcomes of those. We've undertaken the Runanga and Denali spatial air quality monitoring, so that's underway and progressing pretty well. So that's the first assessment of winter particulate matter concentrations across those two communities. There's also a note there just on the funding, the National River Quality Network being stopped, which has impacted our water quality network by losing sort of 4 sites that were originally paid for and monitored by NIWA. So we are able to adopt 3 of those sites, but one of them, which is down in Hearth, that wouldn't be able to be done with us without additional budget. So we are doing a review of our network that looks at water quality, and once we get that information back, we'll assess whether we need to continue that South Westland monitoring. It is important for councillors to note that the further south we go in water quality monitoring is sort of Okarito area, and so we've got very little understanding of water quality impacts south of that, which can be an issue when we're looking at development of plans in the upcoming natural environment plan. So under the LTP, and with that information from the network review, we will likely be bringing back recommendations that could consider monitoring representative catchments further south. And just some groundwater work there as well. We're trying to work with our landowners more in communicating issues with our groundwater and supporting well owners. It's really important that we maintain a good relationship with the landowners, because that's the way that we can access the groundwater and have a better understanding of what's happening, which then informs policy. I'm happy to take any questions on the report.
Just all the dairy farm wells is done by NPI, I think. So there'd be records before.
Sure, yeah. Johnny, did we incorporate the NPI monitoring of groundwater and wells?
Very aware of what they do.
Could that be for dairy farmers that take an annual sample for the farmer for the process? That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't.
For clarity and E. coli.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes,
Coli, some other things, yeah, because it's part of their accreditation on the Washington plant. That's a good point.
We can look into it.
Yeah, we'll come.
Darren? Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to really highlight the issue of Earth Sciences New Zealand pulling out of those 4 long-term sites that have been in operation since the 1980s. They do represent the most long-term water quality sites, I think, on the coast. This is a trend of the government disinvesting over a number of years across New Zealand in both their national hydrometric and water quality sites. And basically it means that if we want to keep those going, we've got to pick that up. I know that Shanti and the team are going to squeeze in the other 3 sites, but not the further south one. That's a lot of extra resource and time to put that in. But I just think that I would urge the councillors to make some sort of letter or political comment by a letter on that, because on the one hand, we're telling, saying cut our cloth, reduce to 4% and raise cap and all those sorts of things. The government's disinvesting in what it's done for years and years and years. And the whole issue of what should be in terms of environmental monitoring, and who should meet those costs, I think should be a conversation that should be had nationally as part of local government reform, particularly given that the data that we collect and the data that is being stopped being collected by Earth Sciences New Zealand, previously NIWA, the government need that for this New Zealand state of environment.
I would agree.
Yeah. So I just leave that to you to decide what you'd like to say about that.
My concerns about data is that the length of record is as valuable almost as the data itself. The longer a record is, the more you can justify if there's a trend appearing or not appearing. There, and I just think of things as simple as tire gauges. One of the huge losses in our area was tire gauge records that went back a long way, and then they stopped keeping them, and it really, the length of it, a history of that of those records is as important sometimes as the actual data itself.
Yeah, I was going to ask the question. There seems to be no rationale why they've done it other than cost saving to me. And given all the focus that Wellington's putting in on natural hazards, resilience, climate change, it seems at odds with where the direction's going, and we're putting roadblocks and spanners in the works to stop the data that can continue. And I agree with the letter to them. What's the game? What's the ultimate purpose? Because it's going to be detrimental to our planning.
Sinking the ship for a penny worth of tar, really.
And no new taxes, just let the councils pick it up,
There's a couple of things, Shanti. Page 27, we gave the Enviro schools $10,000. And I see you're going to go back and have a look at some KPIs. It'd be very interesting to see what they're actually telling the kids at school, what their curriculum is, because as Andy pointed out, they're telling the kids that the dairy farmers are ruining the planet. And my family's name's even been mentioned in some of the lectures and Bathurst about destroying the planet. So I'd really like to know what these kids are being taught. So it'd be interesting if you'd come back with that. Thank you.
Sure, they've just released their annual report for their work program last year, so I can provide that to councillors if there's interest. And near the end, probably I'd say in about 6 months' time, I'll bring a paper back to council analysing sort of more detail around what we have delivered, what we have delivered internally, compare the KPIs, and I can put in some key messages that were shared to the schools as well.
Yeah, I'd just like to remind, I did vote against this. And getting back to the air quality, I'm probably going to vote against this to receive the report. I think I've probably made my ideas well known about this. There's no real air quality problem in New Zealand. Air quality in New Zealand is one of the best in the world. I think we're in the top 3. The air quality on the West Coast is also very good. All of our towns have got good air quality. And the way these results are gathered is the instructions are, and it's no reflection on you, Shanti, you've got to put the instructions are to put the monitors in the worst possible place. So you've got a screwed result, is that the quality is failing, which it isn't. So I'll probably vote against this. The problem is it's run from Wellington, and you've got people in Wellington with a bit of an agenda against coal and wood, and they're the ones that are making the rules. So I would just say I'm going to vote against it, because I don't consider there's any issue with air quality in Greymouth or any of the West Coast. Thank you.
Just on the air quality, I found the report very, very helpful, and I think it's really important, particularly from the point of view of those who have respiratory illnesses and other illnesses that make them susceptible to high particulate matter in the air. So I think this report and this data is incredibly important and certainly support this program continuing. But I'd also like, Chair, to go back to the earlier matter in terms of the concern that I have as a councillor in the government pulling away from this long-term monitoring. And I'd like to see it in action from this council, an action that we write to the appropriate entity, expressing our concern in terms of the resource being pulled away from this. It's very, very similar to what we were talking about predator-free earlier, where there's been significant resource over time being put in to achieve a goal, and then that resource is taken away, and then investment is then wasted. So I would move that this council write such a letter.
Got a seconder for that? Ashley? Yes. It's open for discussion. Andy?
Just one question. Would those two spikes in Greymouth, would that just been over a little short period, would it?
I believe the dates are provided in. the report.
They got the dates, Shanti, but that wouldn't be all day. That'd be only for maybe an hour or so.
No, it's within a 24-hour period. Is that
So
correct?
it's daily average.
At the average.
I just think that they need to be there so that we can say with authority that air quality is good or quality is not good. Otherwise, it's just opinion, you've got to have evidence-based capability to be able to say, West Coast hasn't got a problem because, we can actually produce the figures to say we have or haven't got a problem. You've got to have the records and you've got to have the recording of it. I would not want to see them disbanded at all. Sorry, Ashley.
Just on that, Shanti, you mentioned both of those readings under investigation, checking some subjectivity. What's the runway on that? Is that?
Johnny's leading that work.
So,
You've completed one, right? One analysis of the first one, and the second one you think is probably not exceptional, correct?
One is definitely sea salt. And the other one isn't. It's largely around wind direction. So you need to conduct an analysis. That'll be part of the submission.
So the other important part to consider is the meaningful data standard, which we haven't met. So we have to have 12 months of continuous data for us to consider whether Greymouth would turn into a polluted airshed, which would require the gazetting process similar to what Reefton has. And that then triggers regulatory conditions such as resource consenting for air discharges. We're not there yet. There's a lot of water to go under the bridge before we consider that. And if that was a consideration, we would bring a workshop to council, look at everything that might need to be considered and provide them.
At the time that we did not meet the standard, it was only just below it, wasn't it? Just above it. It wasn't a huge crash. But
so what do we do now then? Do we stand there and look for the dirtiest chimneys?
We're required to keep monitoring under our air plan, which is operative. It does say that the regional council will undertake education. And so we could look at doing more of that. I don't think we are meeting what our air plan says we will do in terms of informing our community. And so we have been in touch with some other councils which have experiences far more often than us, some, Otago Regional Council and Cromwell and things like that, and trying to get their collateral that they've got so we don't have to create our own. And we could potentially do some, information if councillors want to see us do that. We would be really happy to provide education.
Because like wet wood, times there's more smoke then. If your wood's wet.
Wet wood, yeah.
Can be the things people are burning as well, like burning rubbish. It can happen in Greymouth. You can smell it when it's happening. And just education on that fact would probably be beneficial in terms of, I think there was arsenic picked up in some of the studies in Westport, which is quite impactful to people's health if they're burning the wrong things. And as an organisation responsible for air quality, we do have a place for educating our communities on what's good to burn and what's not.
one thing I've noticed with in Westport in particular, the NO2 trend is improving, but it could be because there's a significant number of electric vehicles now that are, and NO2 generally a byproduct of vehicles rather than other sources. The amount of electric vehicles that are in Westport now is quite significant. Could be something as simple as that.
Mr. Chair, I just going back to that motion before, I don't know whether it was moved in terms of the letter. Was that moved?
I was going to suggest, if I can
Yeah.
Jason.
Sure.
So I was gonna put, the main recommendation as it currently stands is to receive the report. I was gonna add a couple more. One was about writing a letter to the appropriate entity / minister expressing concern about then pulling back on the monitoring sites. And the second action I just wanted to double check through the chair was for the Enviro Schools annual report to be provided to council, including key messages. Was that earlier?
Yeah, like that.
So they were the two that I picked
So
up.
you're moving the first one and Alan is moving the second. Is that correct?
No, I'm voting against accepting the report. So I'd like to vote separately on that one.
Okay.
The other two I'm okay with.
Okay.
So through the chair, I'll move both those actions.
Happy to second those again.
And Ashley seconding it. In favour?
Aye.
Against?
I'm against accepting the report.
This is sending the letter. What are we voting on? We're voting about sending the letter, aren't we?
Alan's voting
Oh,
against
yeah,
accepting.
we're coming to that. That's the next part.
Yeah.
Okay,
At the moment, we're voting on the.
two,
letter to
the other two.
Minister.
I'm just making sure.
Yeah, okay. And Ashley seconding it.
Yeah.
We're in favour of that.
Aye.
Against? Carry. Next one, accepting the report.
Happy to move.
We're moving it. Ashley's moving it. Seconding. Colin seconding it. It's up for all those in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Against, and I would like my vote recorded. Thank you.
Shanti, we'll now move on to the hydrology quarterly report. Again, Shanti.
Yeah, so this is a similar report. It's operational work undertaken by the hydrology team this time, so the water quantity team. They also do flood warning. So key points for councillors to take away from this report is just essentially the work program remains on track. We've now got satellite backup communications over 62% of the hydrometric network, which is really great. This reduces the risk of data loss when cellular services are disrupted during sort of a rainfall or a weather event. The $400,000 joint funded regional council Kanoa telemetry upgrade project is about 32% complete. And it's all within time and on budget. So the team are doing a great job at that. This is the first time they've managed anything of that scale. And we've got some really good feedback from ECAN that our regional council is doing a great job with the project management of that. There's been some improvements to the Grey River site of the HODA, which has strengthened the reliability of the early flood warning information for Greymouth. Happy to take any questions on the report.
Through the chair, I've got a buffet, sorry. Starting at the end of them, the flood event reports are incredible. So we've talked about AI and filtering things down, but the level of detail information of those things is incredible. So kudos there. One word I haven't seen mentioned this time around, which I was glad not to see, is vandalism. I should there's no reports of that we haven't had.
Correct, yep.
No, we keep being dickheads, if I'm allowed to say that around the table. 62% satellite backup, great. If we do some simple maths, 162, 38%, is that coming online this year, next year at some stage?
I'll double check with Samuel on the timeline for that. But I would say that it is associated with the money we're getting from NOAA. So 32% through that project. So that would be the next phase. And I think that's completion within the next 6 months.
And for the uneducated amongst us, Kiwi Rail site 11846, has anyone got a rough location on that? I couldn't see it on the map. So another one.
One to Delma Lane.
I don't have that. I thought about that as well.
One-
We could have been a bit more specific on the location of that. I'm not sure. Sorry, I can get that to you though.
Yeah, not an action, just focusing.
Yeah.
I would like to congratulate the team on literally the 100% coverage in the area because we're looking at the tide gauge, the river gauges for checking with the rising, falling. It's really reassuring to see how in that state literally 100% reliable and leading. So thank you for that. Peter?
Yeah, I've got a couple of comments on the report. And I'm familiar with where the Kiwi Rail one was historically, but maybe shifted. I've just put a little bit of a question mark on the readings because it's got to be, rain gauge got to be shifted away from boardings, height wise and all those sort of things, and that can alter significantly the capsulation of what it gets. And the thing that I got no criticisms of the report other than one, and I think it's a significant one. There's no mention here after the preamble where we get all the data from I'll just go through it. Using all the available information from urban water level monitoring, parent agency information, gathering, sharing, and reviewing such events. Now, the elephant in the room for me is no mention at all of the shut gate at Cobden Lagoon in the report. That's significantly, in my view, had a role to play in Cobden.
Okay.
Now, it's
Yeah, so can I comment on that?
Can I just finish, please?
Oh, sorry, sure.
The mechanism of the open gate is not electrical, so it's not an electric bolt. It's a manual thing. Is someone asleep at the wheel or never activated? Have they a tarp when such events occur? There may not be a tarp and no one is aware of it. I've had people ring, was that our council? I've put them right, it wasn't our council. And that seems to be missing in the report, and I think it's very important because this is going to be an historical report, it's going to be a document, and when we're long gone and no one reads about this gate, how are they going to get the learnings from it that we've got, which it seems to be being kept very quiet to me. You know, it's out front, it's publicly known before we knew about it. I just raised that issue, and that's where I just downgrade the report because there's no mention of it. Why was that excluded from the scope of the report deliberately, or seems just odd to me that it wasn't included?
I would just say it, not deliberately at all. I'd say this was pulled together very quickly, and the team I think have done a pretty amazing job considering we only have 2 rain gauges, and there was a lot of trying to gather data from multiple sources and get this out as quickly as possible. So I'll acknowledge that that was just overlooked.
Yeah, no, can I comment there? I just want to be very categorical. The purpose of this report that came out of the hydrology section of the Regional Council was a hydrology report on what the rainfalls did, and backed up by what some of the level sensors in the urban waterways did. That was by no means meant to be a critique of Grey District Council's operational management of their stormwater system, including their own operation of that gate. It's purely a hydrological report. If you would like that matter raised, that might be an action item. But my advice would be we should not go back and amend the report, because that wasn't the purpose of the report. It was to have a hydrological analysis of the data that pertained to that event, and I think it performs that purpose.
Well, I wasn't making a correct through the chair, Mr. Chairman. The absence of that factor raised significantly the hydraulic levels that were encountered. And I think that's part and parcel of the rainfall event. The rainfall event is really not unusual. You've got facts here that we had one in 2008, 2018, and now. So it's about a 9-8 year return.
Well, it's a civil defence matter, isn't it, really, in some respects?
So, you know, I just mentioned that. We've got to be, I know we've got to be mindful of partnerships and all the rest of it, but let's not gild the lily a little bit. It was an error, and it all accumulated in this event. We want to be pretty sharp with how we operate. It's a collective thing.
I'd just like to reiterate what our CE has said. You know, this is I understand the point you're making, but this is a hydrological report, and I just want to really congratulate the hydrological team on the report, because I had no idea about localised convective rainfall events. But I'm certainly a lot more well informed now after having had the opportunity to read that report. And it was really, it was very, very interesting and very helpful to understand the nature of the rainfall events, how it occurred and why it occurred, et cetera, et cetera. So very, very informative and very helpful for me as a councillor in understanding how these events occur and why they occur.
Alan?
Yep, yeah, I didn't want to get into the issue of the gate. So it's still under investigation. There's a few things going on there, but what I'd like to suggest is that maybe we should look at putting an automated gate in. Because, but I think you're doing that anyway, aren't you? Daryl,
Yeah, look, I understand that there's been an investigation to automate that gate based on levels of that, but I want to stress that the operation and the oversight and the management of that gate and ownership of it is with Grey District Council, not us.
Yep,
There's my
okay.
understanding, yes, so it's their asset, it's their issue. And if you want to raise issues, about it, you're absolutely entitled to councillors, but what I would say is leave this as the hydrology report and explore another avenue if you want to raise that matter.
Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought it was a brilliant report, Shanti, and I'm happy to move that report if there's no more on that.
Yeah, I'll second it.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Yes. Very. The next one is air quality report. We sort of half covered that one last one, but with respect to.
Sure, yeah, I mean, this should be relatively quick, but I do have Emma and Johnny here to support any technical questions that you have. I guess the key thing for this is this is 15 years of air quality effort that's gone into the coast, and I think it's just worth acknowledging how much work has gone into reporting on this and understanding what's happening in air quality for the health of the people that live here in this region. So we're just asking for councillors to note the technical report which is attached, and just noting that the further reporting on Greymouth exceeding investigations will be dealt with separately, just due to the timing that we put out this report. Happy to take any questions or defer those to Emma and Johnny as the expert.
Again, through the chair, a thank you to the team for putting this report together. Somebody who's completely new to air quality reports and state of environment. It's been very, very helpful and certainly got me pretty much advanced in terms of my knowledge from ground zero. So thanks to the team for putting this report together. Very, very helpful.
Yeah, I'd just like to follow on from Colin. Yeah, thanks staff. Very well done. I'm not blaming you guys for the regulations. You're only administering what you have to. Thank you.
Alex, on the report. We have a second of the report we received. Thanks, Peter. Second, Andy. Thank you. All in favour?
Aye.
Yes. Carried. And the next item is biosecurity annual operating plan. Very good for the city.
Right, thanks. This is the last one from me, so that's good. So this is a requirement under our LTP to present councillors with our operating plan and annual report, and both of those are required under the Biosecurity Act. So the key things that the program will commit to this year is the surveillance of pest plants across the 8 priority lakes, which is co-funded with DOC and Manawa Energy. Undertaking that surveillance along the West Coast Rail Corridor. Rail corridors are well known for spreading pests, as well as highways, some wetland areas and priority waterways. We're looking to complete investigation of 100% of reported exclusion eradication pests. So making sure that we're responding to all of the people that come to us and would like some advice or action. And then we're taking targeted control where we can support landowners with our priority species in the RPMP as well. The program is very similar to last year, which we presented to you in an annual report format at the last EMC. And yeah, I think the team are doing a great job and on the right track, and the community seems to really appreciate the work of the biosecurity team in general.
Any comments? All right.
Again, Mr. Chair, like the previous reports, I found this report very, very informative and has certainly also increased my knowledge base. So well done to the team involved.
Thanks, Colin. Mark?
No one else has got any further comment. I'll be happy to move that report.
Thanks, Mark. Seconded?
Seconded.
Jeff, you just put you, Jeff, seconded it. All in favour?
Aye.
Yes. It's carried. Now, the next one we move on to is 9.5 compliance monitoring on the second page, 211. It's recommended that committee results are received the report of the compliance group. That's what the group released the film on MR. And we had them contacting one of them. Yes.
Very brief update. My apologies for that.
Yeah.
So I will give you an update on the quarterly report, which is up till the 1st of July 2026. We've got a number of site visitors over those 3 months, being 128 site visits. It's a range of industries from mining to forestry, dairy farms, landfills and meatworks. We received 23 complaints from the pollution hotline. Non-compliances, we had 8 confirmed non-compliances. 2 of them were established through complaints received, and the other 6 were established through routine compliance monitoring inspections. Also got a bit of a snapshot of the previous financial year from 1st of July 2025 to 30 June 2026. We conducted 419 visits across dairy farms, our consent monitoring, mining compliance. A bit of an update on the wastewater treatment plants across the 3 district councils. They were all received with abatement notices in relation to their plants. We're pleased to confirm that these requirements have been met, with the exception of Fuller, who requested an extension. So we're working very closely with the team at BDC. Looking forward to some site visits up here in the next month or so.
Thank you for discussion. Thank you.
And just a miscellaneous resource consent monitoring, give us some examples of what sort of consents are you're referring to there.
Everything from septic tanks. So
this residential.
yes. So things that aren't dedicated in the portfolio, so it could be the likes of wipeout stands. A bit of a scratch of that, dams as well. So there's a few different things I've got.
I just want to acknowledge the voting lines on the report now. Only a slight change, but it's significant. We've got the application holders, the consent buckets, super easy to track and follow. See the being released the justification there. So that's the point. I'm happy to move those 2 recommendations if there's nothing else from anyone else.
Especially. Those in favour?
Aye.
Yes.
Against.
You want to? With the recorded?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, just going to do the next one, 9.6 consent quarterly report on page 22. Oh, Stephen, is it?
So, through the chair, I'd like to present this
sent quarterly report to the council. It covers the period from the 1st of April this year to the 30th of June this year. And just as a little bit of a summary, we as a consents group received 48 applications, resource consents and certificates of compliances. 8 of those applications were returned to the applicant as the information that was submitted to us didn't meet our threshold to process them. And of that 48, 31 decisions were made to grant those applications. The range of activities included in those resource consents and certificates of compliance was 19 land use, 5 coastal permits, 8 water permits, and 9 discharge permits. I'd also like to draw attention of the council to our project to reduce our historic backlog of consents going from 1995. So we started with 199 and we're now down to 42. So actively engaged with those applicants to try and support them as much as possible to resolve their applications. And just referring to some fast track applications, myself, my staff, the compliance team staff and the science team have been involved with various degrees of support in supporting information for the Barrytown Minerals project and the Buller Plateau continuation project as part of their fast track applications. And we've also been attending the Ord Creek project familiarisation days that they have so they can communicate to the council their plans to put in the fast track application as well. So that's my summary of the report, and I'm open to any questions from the council.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to express my thanks as a councillor to both the compliance team and the consents team. It's really reassuring to see that out of 90 applications completed, there was only one consent process that was outside the statutory timeframes. That's a pretty impressive result. So congratulations to you and your team. I'd also, in terms of the compliance team, in terms of community matters that have been brought to me, like all of you councillors, you get members of the community coming to you with issues. I just want it to be reported in these minutes that I've been very impressed by the way the enforcement team has dealt with those matters and resolved them. So well done to both the enforcement and the consents team. That you're carrying out a very important part of our work and doing it extremely well.
Thank you. I'll pass it on to them. I've got some good staff. I'll pass it on. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin. Alan?
Yeah, I would like to counterbalance Colin a wee bit, which you've all heard before. I get quite a few complaints still. So you haven't got it right yet. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Thanks for your comments around cleaning up the historic stuff. I know the paper's up and running with it today. Great to see we're down to the 20% of those, such as some significant step forward there.
Thank you.
Information, Mr. Chairman. There's no further discussion.
Move it. Thank you. All in favour?
All right.
Next. Barry? Steve?
Thank you, students.
Next item on the agenda is bond policy. Update bond policy. Special planning and short update. Matt was going to bring that.
I'll try to watch this. Through the chair, I'd like to present that just a short update on the policy and planning team. Our RLTP and vision draft forms were accepted at RTC last week. So they've now been submitted to the TA. We also submitted our continuous program bid to NZTA as well. So that's how we continue to fund our total mobility system and our planning functions around the transport. So we've got all the it on time. It's now going into their sort of assessment for the National Land Transport Plan and National Land Transport Fund. So that's all ticking along quite well. Total mobility uptake has reduced slightly across the country since the new fare structure changes. The West Coast was actually showed the lowest drop in uptake because we don't have any alternatives for people to go to instead. So the team are currently working through some minor corrections on our existing plans, so our coastal air and land use plan. So we'd like to get them really without the consultation, because it's just things like spelling errors and other reference checks. We'd like to get them through just to make sure that the current plans that the consensus compliance teams work to were just nice and cleaned up before we look to shift over to the new system. And obviously the new RMA replacement is working through, and we expect to see that before the election. So we're following that closely, and we're starting to work closely with district councils on spatial planning as well. And there'll obviously have to be some discussion around the new setup of the new committee. So that's our sort of policy and plan. Happy to try and answer your questions.
Obviously cut off the total mobility. Great, where the last reduction in the country. That's only 1 month of data. Get that, I guess, in 3 months' time, we'll have a quarter or a third within a year to look at and see. But yeah, noting your point there around we don't have other options. So that 7% drop, I mean, if 7% reduction rate, people will be seeing from the rafters, a 7% drop off in the critical services still something we probably need to monitor and
No, we're following it very, very closely. And that's one of the good things about having a new digital system in place, is that we can track, why people are moving from country to time, which is great. So it is a bit of a concern in the sense of we don't want people who need service to not be able to afford it. Relatively, our drop was relatively minor compared to some other councils. So but we will be following. We're still working with our key stakeholders too, and we should have some good solid data by the next regional transport committee meeting. So I'm happy to provide that to this committee as well.
I think it would be good to come back to this table as well. And in terms of RTC, thanks personally for your support and bringing me up to speed. I would have gone.
Thanks. And also I'd like to thank Peter for all of his time over the last couple of years. I've enjoyed my time with him. I've enjoyed it. It was thank you for your patience as well. So that was good. Thanks.
Thank you, Peter.
Mr. Chairman, I wonder if I could just alert councillors to the fact that the Mayor's Chairs Iwi Forum has indicated that they would like to have all councillors invited to another meeting down at Wharehura Marae. We've done that once before, and to get a full briefing from the new Ministry of Cities and Environment and Transport, MCERT, on what the spatial planning thing is and what's involved. So look out for an invite for that coming out if you haven't already got it in your diaries as a pencil in. And then there may be some discussion as well regarding local government reform. So just drawing your attention to that around spatial planning, and just as an aside on the total mobility, one of the benefits of being in the towns of Westport, Greymouth and Hokitika, compared to say cities such as Wellington, Auckland and Christchurch, is the total mobility trips are a lot shorter, and hence not as costly to get across town we don't have the traffic volumes and traffic lights and big distances. And total mobility is a very good solution to people needing to get to the doctors or the supermarket from the neighbouring suburbs. And the per trip cost is actually quite low compared to the bigger centres, which is a good thing. Thanks.
There's a clash with that inset section in the South Line RTC chairs, so it'll probably affect Andy and I unless we divide and conquer, but yeah.
Any more comments? No, we're moving to a second. You're a second?
I'm happy to second it.
Thanks, Mark. All in favour? Aye. Item 9.8 on page 273 is 58. Bond policy and operational framework.
Is that on page 268, is it?
Yeah,
258, yeah.
So I'll try to speak to this, but this is very much in my
Do our best here because this
Yeah.
is next work really.
Yeah. So this is an internal policy to formalize and make settling bonds more consistent, specifically for illegal gold mining and services. And so it updates the existing 2014 methodology for inflation and provides a clearer process for managing council's financial security and rehabilitation risk. So I can try and answer questions, but
Just through the chair, Matt, I'll just ask you on note 3, the hard rock gold mining and that will be brought about by Rua and Endura, is that correct?
Yeah, I think that would be right. Yeah, this is really alluvials. Yeah,
Yes.
hard rock is, would be a bespoke calculation for the bond.
Yeah. Yep, understand that. Thank you.
yeah,
Ellen?
page 270. Go down to payment of interest. So you're not going to pay any interest on bonds now. Yeah, mightn't be an issue with smaller amounts, but if you've got some big bonds out there, like $1 million or something like that, you would think you'd be paying interest on that.
so my understanding around that was because it was quite difficult, particularly when there are releases. It's quite difficult to calculate, but if that's a concern, we can just go.
Now, can I comment here and say,
Okay.
there's two options here, right? It actually costs us money to administer bonds, administrate and that sort of thing. It's problematic to try and calculate the interest, particularly over long running bonds and arguments about that. What we're saying is a matter of policy, which we're asking you to endorse, to say we're not paying interest on bonds if we take in the bond and have to administer it ourselves. And if people don't want to pay, don't like that situation, then they can go to surety from the bank.
Yeah, you look, I've got a lot of sympathy for the council trying to administer the interest in all these bonds, yeah. But I just thought I'd bring it up. And you're dead right, you don't have to put up a cash bond. You could actually put that money in the bank and then use that as security for your bond.
Yep.
It's always available, yeah.
Yep,
Yep.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a great policy because it's a disincentive to put a cash bond up, and it's an incentive to go to your bank and put a surety in, which benefits both the miner and the council.
Particularly on some of the bigger ones.
Yeah, we don't want to be taking in more money but we do understand that a surety at the bank comes at a cost. And for some of the smaller alluvial gold miners with smaller bonds, we're happy to take it, but won't pay interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, the average one might be 30K.
Yeah.
It's not worth
Yeah.
playing around with, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Questions?
In terms of the case by case nature of hard rock and coal, does that still follow some sort of system whereby the applicant could have some idea for the sort of process?
Yeah, there will be an independent expert that assesses it, and we're very happy for the applicant to carry out the first assessment of what the bond should be, and then we'd peer review it. Thank you.
Just on page 284, I was trying to do some on it and that's, then, you know, have an example of the 3 hectare site. Is that 3 hectares the actual site that they think is going to be disturbed at any one time, or is that the site of the total site that
I believe it's the disturbed. I believe it's the disturbed.
disturbed site?
Yeah.
I'll move the report. Thank you.
I'm happy to second it.
Can I just check through the chair, we're moving all 3 recommendations to receive the report, adopt the bond policy, and that's the recommendation.
No, it's case by case basis.
That's
what's
correct.
being moved.
I think that's what we're doing.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Does everybody understand that?
Yep.
All 3 of those options, all 3 of those recommendations.
Yeah, and I mean, when you get a big complex bond situation, should we say it's Stockton, you know, that's got to be a case by case basis.
Yeah, and likewise, if you've got an underground one, like on
Exactly.
Snowy River or that sort of thing, the actual footprint is probably fortunately a hell of a lot smaller.
Definitely. Yep.
That's why it really has to be case by case situation.
Exactly.
So we have a move and a second, and I lost where we were. Mark?
Yeah, Alan moved it. I seconded it.
All in favour? Against?
Yes,
Can I say, councillors, thanks very much for that. This has been a piece of work that's been on the go for quite some time. I think it's good to clear this up and get a consistent policy for the bonds. I think it's fair, and just want to acknowledge the work of Matt Smith, who has obviously sat today, because he basically authored this, I think, didn't he, Max?
Yeah, most of it. Yeah, and I checked it, but it was mostly.
It's a great report and easy to understand.
Yeah, thank you.
Now we want to item 9.9, which is on page 286.
Thanks.
And this is Matt again, maybe, you'll understand, and it's on the report to council in relation to the ROCS role, which I had to look up on the original one.
Oh, okay.
All schools and things?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yes, that's right. So regional on-scene commander for all spill response.
Yeah.
Is what this is.
It's open for discussion.
Great outcome.
I think it's pretty much a straightforward sort of a.
Yeah. Can I just comment, Mr. Chairman, that Chanel, who has been through this and organised and gone through the training, you don't just get given the title of the regional on-scene commander. It is extensive training and examination and testing, both theory and practical, and it's actually some weeks of training and testing to do this, because it is quite involved. So I just want to say congratulations to Chanel for getting the qualification and getting endorsement from Maritime New Zealand. It's not easy. It's very involved, and we now have someone endorsed, and we're looking at getting a backup as well. And who would have thought that just as we were doing this, we had a oil spill in a ship, run aground, a boat run around down fuel. So well done from me.
On behalf of councillors, I also endorse what our CEO has said. Congratulations from us as a council to Chanel for gaining the qualifications for this role. Well done.
And I'm really pleased to see it's in the house.
Yeah.
Sometimes like hard masters and things like that, sort of we don't have quite the same influence that we might have with this here. So great set.
Good result.
In-house.
Yeah.
Any more discussion? Maybe in a second.
Yep.
Regional on-site commander be. Thanks, Mark. Second, Ashley. All in favour?
Aye.
Now, we'll move Public excluded.
Yeah, I'll move that, Mr. Chair.
Second, thank you, Paul. Word in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried, thank you.
Not a lot in here, is there?
No decisions made yet, so can we declare the meeting closed at 12:20?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
All right, welcome everybody online and Councillor McIntyre coming in from Westport. Welcome to our operational team who are here in support. This is the council meeting for the 1st of September 2025, first day of spring. No doubt, councillors, you've all got a spring in your step today, hopefully. So any apologies? No apologies? All right, declarations of interest. No declarations of interest. There is no public forum. Any late items? No late items. All right, we move on to 6.1. Council public meeting minutes, 4th of August 2026. Any matters any councillor wishes to raise in terms of those minutes? All right, the recommendation is to confirm that the minutes of the council public meeting held on the 4th of August 2026 are a true and correct record. We have a mover for that. Thank you, Councillor McIntyre. Seconder. You, Councillor Kitchen. All in favour? Against? Motion carried. Okay. On to the extraordinary council public meeting minutes of the 25th of August 2026. Does any council raise any matters in terms of those minutes?
Mr.
Councillor Ewan?
Just the apology. I gave explicit instruction. There's to be no apology for me on that matter. It was in the writing. So it's quite improper to force or, it's just an apology when you had the opposite. It will be that you had to do that.
No councillors. We'll note the amendment to the minutes. That effect. Any other matters? Okay, do we have a mover for the minutes as amended? Thanks, councillor. Seconder, councillor Knoll. All in favour? Against? Motion carried. Okay, action list public items. There are no public actions. Okay, Chair's report. I just want to note that the last month has been an exceedingly busy month on quite a number of fronts, both for you all as councillors and also for our operational team. We've had a lot of work going on in the business as usual arena, but also, and particularly in terms of what you've seen, councillor, in terms of the reports that have come through to you in the meetings we've had today. The extensive amount of work that our operational team have been doing over the last month. And I just want to note publicly my expression of gratitude to the operational team for the work they've been doing and have been under quite significant pressure. You also, as councillors, have been under quite significant pressure as well. We've had local government reform, and we've had matters specific to Westport and also Franz Joseph, and also a lot of work in the regional pest management policy review. So a very, very busy month overall, and my thanks to both the operational team and councillors for your input over that period. Can I have a mover for that report?
Yeah.
Thanks, Alan. Seconder, thanks, Mark. All in favour? Against? Motion carried. All right, we move on to report 9.1, approval of the updated West Coast Regional Council Delegations Manual and Westport and Hokitika Rating District Joint Committee Terms of Reference. Over to you, Jo.
Thank you. Good afternoon, councillors. It's been quite some time since we have had the delegations manual before you. We adopted it when you first started this training, but we didn't put through any changes. So I need to acknowledge that Christian has spent quite a few months trying to wrangle the group managers to get us to update our portions of this. So it's been quite a piece of work. Mostly it is tracked changes for your information to see what we're proposing with the change in the delegations manual. There are some things that we're trying to do to tidy it up a little bit, such as removing all of the terms of reference out of the actual document and into appendices, just to make this a more useful and easier to read document. There is a table there that outlines all of the changes that we've made. I'm not going to go into each of those in great detail, really just to note that we're tightening up on everything that we're trying to manage. And also the people and capability delegations, we've had a complete rewrite in that area because a lot of what was in there didn't actually relate to delegations. It related more to rules and things that we're now moving into policies or employment contracts and things like that. So it didn't necessarily all need to be in the delegations manual. And the financial delegations, we're trying to future-proof the table a little bit more. So rather than identifying every specific manager and what delegation they might have, we're starting to try and group things by managers and principals, etc., so that if we have title changes, it's not making the delegations manual out of date immediately. And so that's what's been happening. We've had employed a new manager and they've had no delegations because their names. So some of those sorts of things that we're trying to tidy up. The last thing to probably really of note is the new sections relating to the fact that we now have a harbour master. So we needed to acknowledge that and acknowledge his delegations under the Marine Transport Act. But other than that, happy to take questions.
Questions, councillors? Councillor Cole?
Just on page 21, I'm pretty sure I'm right. It's just Hokitika and Westport back to front. I think the dates for there. It says 5th of April and 10th of June respectively, I think. That's the other way.
Westport was 10th of June.
Westport was 10th of June.
Yeah, but it says Westport, Hokitika rating districts.
Yeah.
Respectively, I think.
So not doing that.
If you just change that to Hokitika and Westport rating district, that's solved. You think? Yeah. Is that 21 of the delegations manual? Page 21 of the delegations.
No, it's of the paper. It's in the paper. We've got them round the wrong way.
You've got two lots of papers here. Yes, the latest ones. Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions, councillors?
Oh, just a general comment. When I started on the council, delegations manual was a real thin document. Any councillor could read it. It's probably 20 pages at most, and I'll still consider that's all that's needed. It's far too much in this. It's impossible for somebody councillor to really go through this and understand the whole thing properly. It's just my comment, but I'll move the recommendation.
Thanks. Councillor Birchfield, any other comments before or seconder? Okay, so this is just for clarity. This is in terms of recommendations 1 to 5 of 9.1. So all in favour? Against? Motion carried. Thank you, councillors. We'll move on to 9.2. Thanks, Jo. Which is adoption report rates resolution 2627. And over to you. Thanks, Paul.
What page, Colin? page in our papers?
240.
235.
That was a good jump.
235?
Yeah,
240 on
235.
the new one.
Big day for council today.
240.
Rates. So what I'd like to do is just to go through our process and then have a look at the document itself. So I think the start of the rate setting process very much discussed and we tested at as part of our annual planning process. And that was adopted in late June. And for information, we provided the business, the financial income statement in your papers to give a recap of what council agreed to through our annual planning process. From the rates strike that we're adopting today, or the rates resolution we're adopting today, has that same information, albeit in a different form. So part of the testing we did was to check every single line from our annual plan into the rates resolution to make sure that's correct. It's also fair, and this is the reason why we've got two sets of papers, is we struck the rates, and at that point we seek the legal opinion from the firm Jonathan Salter works for and is well versed in local council law. And he came back with a number of suggestions that we incorporate going forward. Firstly, to make it easier for the reader to understand. The second part is to only provide information that is necessary and don't have different information that may differ from the annual plan. And an example is the valuation of the property. When we did the annual planning process, it was very much on the estimate. If we look at the Buller region, they've gone through a valuation process through the district council, and those valuations have been updated. He also came through with some wording changes, which is reflected in the paper. And it's really just to accurately reflect the legislation. So that's where we are through that part. If we go to the actual document itself, and I'm referring to the annual plan here, so this is a verbal. Our rates last year as a total across all the general rates and the targeted rate areas was $14.2 million. If we look at our rate for this upcoming year, the year we're currently in, it's increased to $15.3 million. This is excluding GST. And that comes to a 7.89% increase. Now remember, through our annual planning process, we released money from our investment to keep the general rate at 7.5%. Why slightly higher? It's through the targeted rates that the calculations had washed out. What's occurred as well, and I just want to give you a sense of timelines before I take questions. Here. So we've gone through the testing, we've essentially got the rate struck, and that's reflected through the resolution. But the big important question that I want to share today is when the invoices go out, you're up in the rate payers. So it's planned for the 23rd of September. They should receive the invoices in their mailboxes around about the 28th, 29th. And we should then receive cash coming into our coffers, into our bank. The next date that's important is on the 20th of October is when the payments are due. And thereafter, they exceed that, then there's penalties that fall due, and we'll manage that and we'll bring that to council at that point in time. That's on the timing of it. So with the letters, what will be going out is a message from the chair, and also a instruction on how to read the invoice. And if we go back to the last meeting or one of the previous council meetings, we shared what that invoice is going to look like. So it's probably been improved in that sense, and we've got instructions here as well. So with the ratepayers being able to actually read, simplified, hopefully we'll get the correct money in quicker. And what we won't get is people double paying or overpaying with their rates that can't really actually happen. At this stage, I'll one further thing before I take any questions is, as part of this, is Darren and I have been working closely with it, and we've done a management review that's been undertaken by myself, that's been shared with Daryl, and really attesting to, through my review, that so far, where we are in the process, the rates are as materially correct, and I haven't found any errors or issues across the data and the after the process. The last thing from the resolution point, you'll see that we've got the whole document in itself, and this is the advice we received from Jonathan Salter, is part of the recommendation. I think in previous years, it's seen as an attachment, and Jonathan's advice, no, it needs to be each area and each type of rate needs to be part of that resolution. Thank you, Chair. Can you take any questions?
Questions, councillor? Councillor McIntyre?
Through the chair, Colin. So on confirmation of this report, it's also to adopt the new format on your rates bill as well. Is that correct?
No, the rates bill itself was went through council previously. So the actual format of the rates, the information is the same. It's just the way we're presenting that information, which doesn't form part of the resolution.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Just a comment for next year, being mindful of the proposed government cap 4%. Now, clearly, the functionality of what we do, if we stick at 4%, is going to be very difficult. The Grey District Council have got a uniform annual charge, a total rate of $1,200. It's way up there. We're at just below 200. Have we got an avenue there to be a little bit flexi funded by not staying within the cap if we put some of the stuff of the increase onto the next year?
The AGC.
Yeah. And keeping it 4% for the general rate. That's what the government wants. But, I'm just thinking here out loud, because if we're going to be hamstrung of what we do, leaving this entity when sunsets in a couple of years' time, it's going to be worse off for those that take over. And if that's an avenue to maybe massage what we do with a bit of flexibility with that uniform charge, well, why not put a bit of thought to it and just see how we go, where we are. Because on that, we've got a lot of headroom in that uniform charge. We would have to take, and it'd have to be a genuine takeoff of what's on the general rate now, but it would just avoid that, Simon Watt pointing the finger, we're doing 100%, I mean, or whoever it may be. I'm just mindful of that going forward, so just think support.
I'd say with that, we've got our long-term planning process coming up, and that's probably the right forum and the right mechanism to use in addressing those questions that look 10 years forward. Just one thing, the 4% rate relates to all rating types. So both your general rate plus all your targeted rates are all set at 4%.
I've got to tell you somewhere what targeted rates are separate.
It's separate, but the 4% applies, that's my understanding.
Well, even if that was the case, I don't think 198 would be 4% of what it is permissible. So it can only go up 4% on that $200. That's what you're saying?
That's right, 4% increase.
Oh, it's going to be bloody hard, isn't it?
Yeah. Can I just, I think we should formally clarify that, those 2 points. And the 2 points that I heard from Councillor Ewan was, number one, is the UAGC subject to the 4% cap? That's the first question. The second question that I'm hearing from you as well is, do we have any headroom to increase the UAGC? There was 2 separate questions that I heard in there, bearing in mind that what my understanding of the 4% rates cap is 4%, but down your general rate, which would naturally happen, wouldn't it? So it's at 4% overall. So those are the 2 questions that I heard. And if that's what they are, we'll just take them down as actions and we can follow up on the email.
Make it pretty tough, isn't it?
Your target rate's got to cover the cost of whatever it's covering. So it can't be covered by the 4%.
So
if you apply.
Yeah, so Mr. Chairman, I just want to comment that if we talk about target rates and we just set aside TTPP and civil defence, and we just go to our phone things. We're the only council in New Zealand that is 100% targeted rating our flood schemes. And generally speaking, the amount of targeted rate that we set each year is agreed with those ratepayers. We'll get all the ranges. Genuinely. In fact, in my time, I can't think of a time when you actually is agreed with the rating districts. I actually want to put the idea that if we've got an agreed position with any one of our rating districts, and that's what tips us over the 4%, we should write to the government and ask their attention.
Yeah, like for example, with Wanganui had 500,000 tomorrow on the river, then the next target rate for Wanganui would have to cover that, no?
It's 4% to get blind bits.
Yeah.
And that's where basically a lovely political promise of a 4% rate rise is flawed and it creates a whole lot of other issues. But to your point, Peter, I believe there's other organisations that levers or massaging or smoothing can be achieved. So maybe through Te Rakahika or there might be some other firms out there. Even Australia or other places, this has been unsuccessfully trialled in the past.
Just, I'm sorry for not getting back, Colin, but that's that new one you got, but a nice big broad area.
It's gone to the printers.
To that.
If no, this has gone to the printers next year, he says, and next year, that's right. That's just for the information, big arrow pointing to that.
But it is a lot simpler.
It's a really good step forward.
Just going back to what Darryl was saying, we had in Te Rakahika two Mayor and a CEO from Aussie come over and talk about the difficulties they had with rate caps over there and how, they were almost invariably every year making applications for increases. So all the rates cap really did is it created another process to try and get to the actual rate level you needed. But Darryl's quite right in terms of the fact that if the community, the group of ratepayers, such as Andy's on the Wanganui, decide they need to do this work and it's going to cost 500 and it's going to go above the 4% rates cap, then make an application, go above the rates cap because ratepayers have actually sought it and asked for it. So, but it's just going to create another layer of work.
Which is cost.
Yeah, which is cost. Absolutely. Yeah. So any other questions?
Oh, I'll just,
Alan?
to be consistent, I'm going to vote against this because I did vote against the general rate increase. I did vote against the targeted rate for emergency management because you put it up to employ a public relations person, which I didn't agree with. Also, the combined TPP plan, I'll be voting against it because of that, because I would like to see us stop rating, defund the plan and stop it, which is what the government's been telling us to do. So you can record my vote against this resolution.
Maybe, Councillor Bixler, just clarify, it's been a particular individual who has suggested that, not the government of the day.
No, you're wrong. There's been a few other ministers have said that.
Right.
Okay.
That's noted, Alan. So, any other questions before we go to the resolution? Okay, so just to make the resolution clear, it is recommended that the council resolve to approve recommendations 1 to 10, including subparts A to X as outlined on pages 1 to 11.
You're not going to read all that for us.
Not unless you want to be here for the rest of the day, Councillor Cash. Do I have a mover? That recommendation. Councillor McIntyre, seconded. All in favour? Against?
record me against, please.
Noted. Motion carried. Thanks, Colin.
Thank you, Colin. Don't underestimate the amount of work that's gone into behind the scenes for that. It's massive.
Yeah, please note in the minutes, councillors' acknowledgement of the amount of work undertaken by Colin and Steve in terms of getting this to us.
Yeah, thank you, Colin. Thank you.
Okay, we now move into public excluded.
Happy to move that, Chair.
Thank you, councillor McIntyre. Do I have a second there? And councillor Harold. All in favour? Against? Motion carried. 1:14 PM. Thank you, councillors, and our operational team for your input. So councillors, just if you wish to remain, just if there's anything that any of you want to discuss ourselves and Darryl,